The following anecdote has been edited for time because I sure did think I would get this in under 5 minutes, and as you can see, Lord, I didn't. This is what I'm talking about. Kelly's story time. I'm not a concise speaker. That's why I'm surprised that people keep wanting to hear more of these stories. Anyway, here is the story of 1,000 Pop-Tarts. So, once upon a time, I had nowhere to live. I was a houseless individual. But I was not homeless, for I did have a home. It was a 1993 Chevrolet Corsica. I didn't intend to become a grifter. It happened so naturalistically. I had this great accidental grift that happened where so I was like just barely 18, and a lot of my friends and people that I knew were still in high school. So I had this deal where, like, if you needed a ride somewhere, I had a car. All I asked was a little bit of gas money. The accidental grift was I can't do math, so I didn't specify how much gas money was. They wanted to help me out. Like, I think they were overpaying me on purpose. So one night I'm sleeping under a tree in my car in a cul-de-sac, and I get a call from a friend of mine who works telemarketing. So he had learned the secret of the down tone, where you don't ask. You say stuff like, we're gonna get you started right away. What's your credit card number? And you do the down tone at the end, and it hypnotizes people into doing what you want and not asking a lot of questions. Like, foreshadowing, why are we buying this many Pop-Tarts? So I get a call at like 2 a.m, right? And it's this guy. His name is Jared. If I didn't say so before, his name is Jared. So his name is Jared, but we will call him Jared. For the purposes of the story, we'll call him Jared. If you're wondering if you should find him to be a sympathetic character, he would go on to steal 2 of my entire arcade cabinets in his quest to become a rally racing happy hardcore DJ. Last I heard, he lives in a houseboat. Doesn't matter. Point is, I get a call from this motherfucker, and he says, "Hey, I don't need you to pick me up right now. We're going to bake 1,000 brownies." And I was like, "You got it. Yeah, okay, Jared, I'm on my way." And as I was driving over, I was like, 1,000 is kind of a lot, right? Like, he's gonna bake 1,000 brownies tonight? Did he say tonight? So I get there, and he explains. He's got this friend named Andy. So apparently Jared and Andy had had a telephone conversation. And Jared was like, "You're going to come with me tomorrow to blank blank." And Andy was like, "No, I can't. I got to hang out with my girlfriend. I'm going to hang out with my girlfriend." And Jared was like, "No, you're coming with us. You're coming with us." And he was like, "I already told you I can't. The down tone won't work on me, Jared." I imagine him saying. So Jared's like wheeling and dealing, cajoling, being manipulative in the way a telemarketer might. And he says, "What's it going to take to get you out with me instead of hanging out with your lame ass girlfriend?" And Andy says, "I don't know. If you bake me 1,000 brownies by tomorrow morning, I'll hang out with you." Bye, Jared. He hangs up on Jared, I imagine, again. So there I am driving to Jared's house, and I'm like, 1,000 is a lot, right? I get there, he explains this to me, and I'm like, okay. I don't know how to bake, but I'll drive you, I'll drive you to the... We're in the grocery store, and we're looking at, like, brownie mix. And it's slowly dawning on him as he's frowning at the list of additional ingredients that will need to be purchased in order to bake 1,000 brownies overnight. He's like, we got this other guy with us. We're going to call him Luke, even though that's not his name, because Luke is a pure innocent soul. So Luke is like, "I don't think we can do this, man. Like, that's a lot of milk. That's a lot of eggs. And, like, you got to do all this prep, and they got to bake in sheets. Like, 1,000 is a lot." And he's like, yeah. How about this? And he grabs a box of chocolate Pop-Tarts, and he's like, "These are kind of like brownies, right? That'll probably satisfy the conditions." And so, he grabs somebody by the lapel. Probably not physically, but again, a worker. He says, "Hey, is there a limit on how many of one thing you're allowed to buy at once?" And the guy's like, "No, I don't think so. Like, if it's in stock, you can buy it." And so he's like, "Cool, cool, great." So he starts like, you know, getting all the Pop Tarts. Again, the chocolate Pop Tarts. Who likes the chocolate Pop Tarts? Anyway, we fill the cart with as many chocolate Pop Tarts are on the shelf. We're not even close. So he he finds the guy again. He's like, "Hey, is this all that you have? Do you have more in the back?" And the guy's like, "I can go look." So the guy goes. But since I've worked retail before, if you say go look in the back, you just gave them a free 5-minute break where they pretend to look in the back because they know it's not in the back. They put the merchandise out on the sales floor. And if it's not out on the sales floor, it's not in a retrievable state, probably. So the guy comes back. He's like, "No, we don't have any more Pop Tarts. I'm sorry. Not of that flavor." So at this point, Jared, he doesn't want to give up. He starts bargaining. He's like, "Well, we'll just get all the Pop Tarts that you have. Like if you have a box of them, just we'll take the whole box, right?" And I'm like, at this point, they're not even really brownies. They're not even chocolate. They're not even like the brownies, really. But he's like, "No, it'll work." Like he'd have to be some kind of asshole not to agree that that this satisfies all the terms and conditions. So there we are with a shopping cart full of all of this grocery store's Pop Tarts. It did add up to 1,000, I think. Like we did manage to get 1,000 Pop Tarts, because there's 2 in every package, and there's a certain number of packages in every box. We had a certain number of boxes. I think it was 1,000, to his credit. But they weren't brownies. We're bringing it up to the register, and they don't want this to be annoying to all the other night owls that are in there buying stuff. So they open a brand new register just for us, which attracts a person with a single item over, thinking, "Oh, they just opened a register. Great, I won't have to stand in line." We're standing there slowly ringing up these boxes of Pop-Tarts one at a time because for whatever reason they couldn't just key in how many there were because they had to make sure they got it right for inventory purposes. So they had to scan each one. Boop, boop. We're just diligently loading them out onto the thing. Boop, boop. And the one guy who got behind us is this like wobbly individual who, a cartoon drunk type, a lush, a wino perhaps. And he looks at us and he's kind of just chilling. He's waiting for his turn. And then he starts frowning because we're taking a while, right? And then he looks at our cart and he sees that we're just buying Pop-Tarts over and over. We're just buying Pop-Tarts, a seemingly endless number of Pop-Tarts. He looks down at what he's carrying, which is like a handle of vodka, and he frowns at it. And then he looks back at our cart, and he looks at us, and I swear this is true. He looks down at the vodka, like in a student film. He goes and he puts the vodka back on the shelf, and he exits the store. I like to think we saved that man's life that night. He's like, "This can't possibly be happening. I gotta lay off the sauce. I'm gonna call my daughter," So, we load all the Pop-Tarts into my 1993 Chevrolet Corsica, which I lived in at the time, you may recall. Like, Jared is like nose deep in Pop-Tart boxes. We had to pile some in my lap, and I was like, I hope we don't get pulled over. I'm imagining all sorts of scenarios in which like they go tumbling forward and get caught under the brake pedal, and I just go careening off a cliff or something. But we only had to go a few miles. So we go a few miles to this guy's house. And it's like way too early to wake him up. And so I'm like, what are we doing exactly? And Jared's like, "Don't worry, I have a plan. I'm going to go get us breakfast at McDonald's. Kelly, you stay here. I want you to build a wall out of these Pop-Tarts at the end of the driveway so he can't leave. So he can't go hang out with his girlfriend. He will have to admit that we got him beat and go hang out with us or whatever they were going to do. Some stupid bullshit, probably." I was trying to keep this under 10 minutes. I don't know if I can. Sorry. So there I am, building a wall of Pop-Tarts out of boxes of Pop-Tarts at the end of the driveway of this kid's house. And I'm like, does it need parapets? I'm getting bored. I'm like trying to like make a good castle out of it, right? And then And then somebody comes jogging along, and it is a family friend. It is the mother of triplets that I happen to be the acquaintances of. We're not very good friends, I think, because their mom always thought I was on drugs. You know, there were reasons for people to think I was on illegal drugs. I wasn't. I was the only one that didn't smoke pot in my friends group. Anyway, so she's jogging. She slows down. She's like, "Hi, Kelly." And I'm like, "Hey, Mrs. J." And she's like, I can see she wants to ask what I'm doing. I'm like, again, slowly building a castle out of Pop-Tart boxes. And she's just like, "Have a nice day." And I'm like, "You too, Mrs. J." And I go back to it. And she looks back again, worried, like. And then Andy, he comes outside. It's like maybe 7 a.m. at this point. I don't know. It took us a while. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, so like Jared said that you said that if he baked 1,000 brownies, you would like hang out with him today or something. So, by the way, if you're wondering how we paid for this, yes, Jared did work telemarketing, but he used his downtone to convince this other guy we were with, this total sweetheart, to pay for it. I don't know how he did that. He was like, "Oh, I'll pay you back," or something like that. It's just like, what the hell, man? So I'm like, "Yeah, and he's like, "Can you clean this shit up? Like my parents, they're gonna go to work, like they have to leave. You're blocking the driveway." I'm like, "I know, but Jared, he asked me to do it, and he gave me gas money. You know what? Good point. Why am I doing this?" So I started to tear them down. Jared comes back. He's like, "What are you doing? But keep that wall up." And then, of course, this poor kid, who we'll call Jeffrey now because I forgot what we said we would call him before. He's like, "Jared, no, what? No, I already told you I'm going to hang out with my girlfriend. Fuck off." Whole point is, there is no point to this anecdote. Uh, we sheepishly loaded my car up with the Pop Tarts that I would want to eat, which is like maybe 10 of the strawberry ones. And so they brought the rest of the Pop Tarts inside. They took like a few for themselves and then brought the rest of them inside. And I guess this guy, who we'll call Jacob, had them up as like entire walls in his room. He would try to give them away to people. Like, nobody wants that many Pop Tarts. It took him like years to get rid of them, apparently, as I recall. And I learned a valuable lesson that day, I guess. Don't let people tell you any fucking thing. If they use that downtone shit on you, just be like, "I know what you're doing. Knock it off." No. Stop it. It's not a Jedi mind trick. I'm really tired. I should have recorded this tomorrow. Thank you for watching.